Dear Journal, I felt like I was in some form of a stupor. I walked up to my mother's front door, not sure if I was leaving or had I just returned. Where was my luggage? I stooped down and picked up the Sunday newspaper my mom received every Sunday morning, laying on her doorstep. Crazy thing was, the date read 6 months after the time I was scheduled to go on the convoy with my fellow soldiers. Something was definitely wrong here. I felt like I was in a bad dream or some type of twilight. I felt lost and confused, and I couldn't remember what happened to the last 6 months of my life. I tried knocking on the door, but my knocks landed soft and quiet on the strong oak wood door. That was strange. I also noticed that my body didn't ache, not even a little bit when I bent over to pick up the newspaper. I couldn't wrap my understanding around what was going on. I had a feeling something was really off. I tried again to enter my mother's home by twisting the doorknob with even more force than I used knocking. You wouldn't believe me if I tried to explain exactly what happened. It's like I closed my eyes and reached for the knob, and when I couldn't feel the knob even grace my fingers, thinking I missed it completely, I opened my eyes, and I was inside my mother's home. Man, this is becoming beyond weird. My mother wasn't home, and it looked like she hadn't been there in a really long time. Again, I can't explain it, but at this point I was sure something was different. The house felt familiar, but it didn't feel like home, which was strange because this was my childhood home. The only home I've ever known as a child up until I joined the army. The house seemed there, but not there all at the same time. The 65-inch flat screen hanging on the wall in the living room was on some type of permanent screensaver. I started checking random things. Nothing worked. The faucet was bone dry. It was literally like I was in a dollhouse replica of my mother's home. I couldn't deal anymore, so I ran out the front door back into the front yard. Yeah, you heard me right. I ran out the front door. It was closed, and I ran through it, or sort of fell through it. I'm completely blown at this point. Then I realized, much like the inside of my mother's house, the world around me seemed the same. I hadn't noticed that before. It was a warm Sunday afternoon, and our street would usually be pretty busy with kids laughing, yelling, running, riding their bikes, or playing ball in the corner. Miss Jackson was usually outside watering her plants, and where was old man Brooks, pretending to water his grass while checking out Miss Jackson? There was absolutely nothing. It was eerily quiet. So when I heard a scream next door, and a young woman came running out of her front door, or more like falling out of her front door, I realized she was the first person I've seen or heard since I've been home. We both wore the exact same expression on our faces that clearly said we were having similar experiences, and we were both frozen in fear. The young woman turned out to be Jade Singleton. She had recently moved in next door to my mom while I was away on tour. Jade seemed to be in shock. She asked questions about me, and I had plenty of questions for her. It turns out we were both in tragic accidents, but vaguely remembered our hospital stay, and couldn't for the life of us remember being discharged from the hospital or how we got home. Jade tried to describe to me what she had experienced in her home, but couldn't quite explain it. I interjected and stated, "Let me guess, your home is acting as if somebody pushed pause on life?" "Exactly," was her only reply. Always, Noah.